Welcome to Shabbat Shmuz with Charlene. This week's Parsha is Parashat Miketz, and we know that in this week's Parsha, Yosef HaTzadik is finally freed from jail. What happens that brings him out of jail? Paro has a dream and doesn't know how to interpret it. So he asks his Sar HaMashkim, his chief butler, what do you think about this dream? When all of a sudden, the butler recalls, oh my goodness, wait a minute. A while back when I was in jail, I had a disturbing dream, and so did the chief baker. And both of our dreams were interpreted by a young Jew named Yosef. And he's still in jail. And he knew exactly what our dreams meant. Paro gets excited and calls for Yosef to be released. Yosef interprets Paro's dreams perfectly, and that enables him to rise to such great honor and power in Mitzrayim. Now let's reflect on what led to Yosef being freed. When Yosef was thrown in jail, along with the Sar HaOfim and the Sar HaMashkim, he really could have just cared about his own needs, but he didn't. He wasn't so self-consumed. He wasn't worried about his own dignity and his own discomfort and the fact that he's on the lowest of the lows. He looked at the facial expressions of these two individuals who were also in jail, and he asked them, why do you look sad today? That is what led to him ultimately being released. When the Sar HaMashkim recalled that this young Jew had mercy on him and his wisdom helped him, that is actually what we all need to really focus on during these days. So many times we all feel like we're on the lowest of the lows and we're in our own personal dungeons. We're all in our own personal prisons, feeling self-pity, feeling down. We don't want to think about others. We're so self-consumed. But do we look to the facial expressions of others and see, can we help you? Is there something that we can do to alleviate some of your stress? There's a pasuk from Tehillim in Parak Mem Aleph that says, Ashrei maskil eldal v'yom ra'a yimaltehu Hashem. Praiseworthy is he who contemplates the needy, thinks about the needs of others. V'yom ra'a yimaltehu Hashem. On the day of evil, Hashem will save him. Hashem will liberate him. This is exactly what happened with Yosef HaTzadik. Because he wasn't so self-consumed about his own needs and his own personal wants and desires, he thought of the needs of others. He noticed others looking sad and he said, how can I help you? Can I be of assistance? And it was that led to him years later being freed from the lowest of the lows and being elevated to the highest of highs. This reminds me of a story I once heard about a man who wanted so much to do chesed for a woman whose husband suddenly died, leaving her with mounting bills and a large family to raise on her own. So the man went over to the woman and said, I understand that your husband has left behind large debts and mounting bills. I want to help you. Give me all the paperwork. Let me streamline everything and let me take care of your bills. And this woman was so grateful that this man, this tzaddik, came to help her. So she gave over all the paperwork. This man took it all onto himself, and he decided this is going to be the way he helps this woman. He's going to alleviate her financial burden so she could focus on raising her family. A little while later, that act of chesed came right back to bring so much yeshuot and brachot to that man's life. His daughter was run over by a car, and she was about to lose her life. Her prognosis was horrible. The doctors in the hospital told him there's no chance this girl will survive. But in those harrowing hours that the daughter was undergoing tests in the hospital, she had an out-of-body, a near-death experience, almost like a dream. And in that dream, a man came over to the girl and said, you are going to live. You're going to be just fine. And then she woke up. And when she woke up, she related this story to her father. But she didn't recognize the man. He was a complete stranger to her. But upon describing him to her father, the father recognized, oh my goodness, that was the husband of the neighbor whom he helped by alleviating her financial stress and by allowing her to have a little bit of menucha at a very low point in her life. We know that chesed always comes back to us. So for this week, Let's try to be a little bit more mindful of the needs of others. If you see someone looking sad, ask them, are you okay? Can I help in any way? If you hear of some chesed that needs to be done, offer help. Extend yourself just a little bit more, because we never know when that chesed will boomerang back to us from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. May we all be zoche to always be on the giving end of chesed, but to be on the receiving end of brachot, yeshuot, and liberation. Shabbat Shalom.